In the early stages, a lot of people here are struggling. They're trying to raise money. They're trying to figure out a way to do it. I mean, you know, what do you think it was like when you were struggling the most that helped you like get past that?
We started without financial backing, and I suspect quite a lot of people in this room are trying to, you know, get businesses going without financial backing. Even with a small amount of financial backing, it's tough. There's only really one word that matters. That, you know, it's survival. There's a very thin dividing line between survival and success.
Do you ever think like that you're over your head? Like this is like I'm in too deep. I'm like I don't know what I'm doing.
I've come back from launching Virgin Atlantic to find the bank manager sitting on my doorstep, you know, telling me that this was a Friday evening, that unless we reduced our overdraft facility by Monday morning, you know, the whole Virgin Empire was, you know, was going to be taken away from us. And normally I'm sort of, I don't believe in losing my cool. I don't believe, you know, I think it's counterproductive. It was about the first time in my life that I've walked over to somebody, picked him up and just pushed him out of the door and told him he wasn't welcome in my house. And then I thought, that's not a very wise thing to do to your bank manager. Yeah, I remember going back into the living room, sitting down and thinking, yeah, maybe I'm over my head at the moment. This is not good. We just launched Virgin Atlantic, and the bank basically thought, what on earth is, you know, an entertainment entrepreneur doing, launching an airline? And the engine, the very first flight that we'd flown on Virgin Atlantic, a flock of birds flew into the engine. So we were, you know, we had a minus $1 million maintenance on our very first flight. And that had pushed us over the limit, and I had to scramble around every single person I dealt with, you know, in the last 10 years, and try to scrape the money together to, you know, get the money to the bank on the Monday, and then interestingly, and this, you know, I think this is a good lesson for everybody. You know, I think doctors and banks, you were very rare in our lives to ever change our doctors or banks. We're frightened of changing them, and on you know, by the Friday, we'd actually taken our same balance sheet to about 5 other banks, and we'd actually managed to get an overdraft facility which was 10 times what we'd got from the bank that was about to put us out of business. So I think it's very important not to be wedded to your bank, and actually to go out and try to get other banks to compete.
Now that only happens though after you've like really established your business. Like early on, you're going to every bank not to get competition, but because you're out of desperation. You got to go to 40 banks to.
Well, we didn't tell the other banks it was out of desperation. we just nonchalantly went in and said, you know, we thought we wanted to get better interest rates, but yeah. I mean, early on when you're trying to, when you've got an idea and you're trying to start a business, you know, again, you just have to try. Try every which way to get the funding for your company.
A lot of people put shareholders first, and I've heard you say that you put your employees first.
All the company is the people that run the company. So, so if those people love what you're doing, if they're passionate about what you're doing, then the customers will be happy because they'll be dealing with passionate, happy staff. I mean, fly on, Virgin America, the new domestic airline here. You fly on the airline. You've got, staff that are really proud of the company they work for. They love their jobs. Therefore, they smile. Therefore, they're happy. Therefore, the customers smile. They're happy. And if you put the shareholders third down the line, the Virgin America is likely to do well because everything else has been got right and the staff are happy, and so it's a win-win situation all the way along the line to put your staff first.
Now, there's another thing you hold a contrary view in that a lot of investors and entrepreneurs prefer going after fragmented industries because there's no market leader. Whereas you do the opposite. You go after the industry where there's 1 or 2 big leaders that are getting lazy, and you try to beat them at their own game when they've got such a dominant market share. And how did you come up with that strategy?
Well, generally out of personal frustration. We used to have record companies all over the world, and I had to fly, on other people's airlines. And if you've ever flown on a large American carrier, you'll know what I mean. So out of frustration, I remember ringing Boeing one day, and I said, do you have any second-hand 747s for sale? And they said, what do you say the name of your company was? And I said, Virgin. And so what do you do? I said, we're the record company. We got the Sex Pistols, the Culture Club, the Rolling Stones. Anyway, they didn't put the phone down on me, surprisingly. And they said, as long as your airline goes further than your name would suggest, then we'll send a salesman over and hopefully give you your first 747. So I think anyway that was an example of going into an industry which was very, very dominated by very big players, creating an airline that was just hopefully the best in the world. Small, energetic, and getting all the little details right, personable. And people went out of their way to fly it. And since then, we've learned from that if you go in and take on big conglomerates, the risks are big, but it's likely they become fat, it's likely that they become complacent, inefficient, and it's likely that you can take a chunk of them.
How do you evaluate talent, and what do you look for in people?
Well, first of all, we try as much as we can to employ from within the companies, because I think it's nothing worse than working for a company and seeing, some so-called expert being brought in above you when you're quite capable of doing the job. We often promote people above what they'd expect. I mean, for instance, the lady that ended up running our recording studio division, which was about 12 recording studios in England. She started off cleaning, scrubbing the floors of the studios. So, we've had switchboard operators who've ended up running companies before. You'll be pleased to know we haven't had stewardesses turning into pilots, and very quickly. But anyway, but generally, actually we have had, but they did go and get their training first. So I think employing from within is important, and then I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Make sure that if you're taking people on in management positions, make sure that they're great leaders of people. What people are doing in this room is they're creating things which will make a difference to people's lives. So everybody here is basically a creator. I mean, I've just looked outside of some of the incredible creations that we're about to judge in a few minutes. But these people are creating things. The business aspect is simply, you've created this wonderful thing. You've got these wonderful staff working for you. The business is a tiny byproduct. That is, can you pay the bills at the end of the day? But the most important thing is that you're creating something that makes a difference to other people's lives.
Well, we have, as you know, we have a few great entrepreneurs here to introduce you to, and to the whole audience as well. And I can't tell you, it's been an honor having you here.
Thank you for being here.